Welcome to today's deep dive. When you think about surveillance, the classic image that pops into your head is probably like an unmarked van parked across the street.
Right, yeah. Couple of agents inside with headphones on.
Exactly. Maybe a telephoto lens poking out of a slightly cracked window. It feels very analog and, very deliberate. But the reality of how we are tracked today is entirely invisible.
Totally invisible.
The device you are listening to right now is actively moonlighting as a surveillance beacon for the government. Today, we are pulling from some truly eye-opening intelligence over at besecurityaware.com to tear down how warrantless tracking actually works.
And, we aren't just going to leave you paranoid.
No, definitely not. We are giving you a concrete 30-minute action plan to cut off their data supply.
To really set the stage for you, imagine the backdrop behind me right now isn't a studio wall, but a glowing digital cityscape, nighttime. But instead of cars on the streets, you see millions of tiny glowing data points moving along the grid.
Like a heat map kind of thing.
Exactly. Swarming into office buildings, clustering in coffee shops, streaming down highways. Each one of those little points represents the invisible trail of data you leave behind every single day just by carrying your smartphone.
It's almost beautiful in a way.
It is beautiful in a Matrix kind of way, but terrifying when you realize government agencies are simply buying access to that map.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to understand how to protect ourselves, we first have to understand the mechanics of how the government gets their hands on this data without a judge's permission.
Right, the legal loophole.
Yeah. Government agencies, specifically immigration enforcement like ICE, are completely bypassing the traditional legal system. They aren't going to a judge to establish probable cause. They're purchasing access to targeted advertising data.
Which is completely wild when you think about it.
It is. There are companies like Penlink that sell sophisticated analysis tools to the government. They have one called Tangles for social media and another called Weblock for location hunting.
Yeah, the dragnet tools.
An analyst can open this software, draw a digital shape over a specific city block, pick a time window, and just execute a dragnet search. The system spits out a list of every single device that was inside that shape.
And the underlying legal loophole allowing that dragnet is massive. A few years ago, the Supreme Court ruled in a landmark case called Carpenter v. United States.
Right, the cell tower case.
Exactly. The court explicitly recognized that historical cell site location information, so the data your phone company keeps about which specific cell towers your phone connects to it, enables near-perfect surveillance.
Because it shows everywhere you've been.
Right. Because of that power, the court ruled that police generally need a warrant to get that data from, like Verizon or AT&T. But the government argues that commercially available app data is fundamentally different.
Wait, how is it different? It's still location data.
Well, their argument is that when you download a mobile game or a weather app, you click agree on their terms of service. Therefore, you are voluntarily disclosing your exact location to third-party developers. Yeah, which means the Fourth Amendment warrant requirement supposedly doesn't apply.
I have to jump in here with an analogy because that legal logic completely bypasses the spirit of the law.
Go for it.
It's like the police deciding they want to read your deeply personal locked diary. But instead of going to a judge to get a search warrant to open your desk drawer, they just go down to the bookstore that printed the blank diary and buy a copy of all your entries.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Arguing that technically you voluntarily wrote them on the bookstore's paper. It's insane.
What's fascinating here is the underlying mechanism of how the bookstore, or in this case the ad tech ecosystem, captures your entries in the first place. We tend to think of ads as just annoying pop-ups.
Right, the little banners at the bottom of a free app.
Exactly. But behind the scenes, there is a hidden financial engine called real-time bidding. When you open a free app, it doesn't just ask for your location to show you a weather forecast. It broadcasts your exact GPS coordinates to an ad exchange.
So it's actively selling you in that exact moment.
Yeah. It's essentially shouting to dozens of companies, who wants to pay to show an ad to a user standing inside this specific medical clinic or coffee shop right now? And this auction happens in milliseconds.
And the data brokers aren't necessarily buying the ad space to sell you sneakers, are they?
No, not at all.
They are quietly participating in these auctions just to scrape the bid stream. They harvest the broadcasted location data, package it into massive data sets, and resell it.
And it all connects back to one thing on your phone.
Right. The glue holding all those data sets together is a hidden string of characters called a mobile advertising ID, or a MAID. It functions exactly like a digital license plate.
A license plate you don't even know you have.
Exactly. It ties the location ping from your weather app to the browsing history from your social media app, building a comprehensive profile of your movements.
Hearing how easily brokers capture and sell this bidstream data usually triggers a very specific defense mechanism for most people.
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
The immediate reaction is often, I am a totally law-abiding citizen. My device just goes from my house to my office to the grocery store. I don't have anything to hide.
So why should I care?
Right. Why should I care if I end up as a glowing dot in some analyst's dragnet?
It's the classic nothing to hide fallacy, but mass surveillance inherently, completely inverts the American legal presumption of innocence.
Yes, exactly.
When law enforcement uses a dragnet tool that scoops up everyone in a defined area, you are no longer innocent until proven guilty. You are a data point under active surveillance simply because you walked past the wrong building at the wrong time.
It also relies on the dangerous illusion of anonymized data. Brokers often claim, well, we don't sell your name or phone number, just the location of your mobile advertising ID.
Which is basically meaningless.
It really is, because your daily routine is a unique geometric fingerprint. If a data set shows an anonymous device sleeping at your specific home address every single night and traveling to your exact desk at your workplace every single weekday morning,
it perfectly identifies you.
Completely. They don't need your name to know exactly who you are.
And once people realize their everyday movements can be bought by the highest bidder, it creates severe chilling effects.
Oh, for sure. People change how they act.
You might alter your lawful constitutional behavior because you know the digital dragnet is watching. You might, think twice about going to a peaceful protest, a specific medical clinic, a place of worship, or a labor union meeting.
And beyond the theory of surveillance, there is the sheer mismanagement of the data itself. The Department of Homeland Security's own Office of Inspector General published a report admitting that agencies under its umbrella, including ICE and CBP, completely failed to adhere to their own privacy policies.
So they didn't even follow their own rules?
Not at all. They didn't develop sufficient safeguards before they started buying and using this commercial telemetry data.
Wow.
And the abuse potential within these commercial data sets is so high that in December 2024, the FTC actually stepped in to restrict major data brokers.
Wait, they actually intervened?
Yeah, they specifically targeted companies like Gravy Analytics, which also operates under the name Ventol, and Mobile Wallet. The FTC barred or severely restricted them because their tracking was revealing highly sensitive personal attributes and visits to sensitive locations without any meaningful oversight.
So what does this all mean? It means your completely ordinary, boring, everyday routine is a potentially dangerous surveillance tool that can be used against you, which means we have to cut off their supply.
We have to.
We have to turn our phones from informants back into just tools. Here's where it gets really interesting, because BeSecureAware.com lays out a highly practical 30-minute privacy action plan to lock down your device and poison the data well.
That's a great guide.
Let's start with the device level. Step 1 is shutting down the ad tracking at the source by destroying that digital license plate we mentioned earlier. On an iPhone, it's called an IDFA. On Android, it's an AID or GAID.
And this is so important.
You need to go into your privacy settings and delete this ID. And this is a crucial mechanical step. Before you hit delete, write that exact alphanumeric string down somewhere safe.
Yeah, if you delete the ID first, you are essentially throwing away the key to your own data vault.
Because then you can't find yourself in their systems.
Exactly. When you eventually contact data brokers to demand they delete your historical data, they will ask for that specific ID number to locate your file in their massive servers. Without it, your past location history remains stuck with them indefinitely.
Okay, so step 2 is auditing your application permissions to be incredibly stingy. You need to set location access to either never or while using the app. Never leave it on always, unless it is absolutely mission critical, like a primary navigation app.
And turn off precise location entirely for apps that only need to know your general city.
Right. I mean, leaving a basic flashlight or weather app on always location access is like hiring a plumber to fix your sink, but then the plumber insists on wearing a body cam in your house and knowing your exact geographic coordinates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even when your pipes are perfectly fine.
That's a great way to put it. It's a massive overreach.
Totally.
But this raises an important question regarding the hardware itself. What happens when you strip those location permissions or turn off GPS entirely? Are you essentially invisible to the bid stream?
I mean, I would hope so.
The answer is no, because of ambient location signal.
Wait, so even if I strip GPS permissions from every single app on my phone, my device's basic hardware, like the Wi-Fi card just searching for a local router, is still leaking my physical location to brokers?
Absolutely. Your phone is designed to constantly ping the world around it to maintain connectivity. It performs continuous Wi-Fi scanning to look for saved networks.
Oh, gee.
And in doing so, it logs the MFC addresses of nearby routers, which brokers map to physical street addresses. It communicates with hidden Bluetooth beacons inside retail stores that track which specific aisles you walk down. It uses nearby device scanning to infer your location based on the phones around you.
That's terrifying.
So step 3 of the action plan is mitigating this. When you are not actively connecting to a network or a device, turn your Wi-Fi and Bluetooth toggles completely off in your main settings. It is a low-effort, medium-impact defense that stops your phone from constantly shouting its presence to the digital environment.
Locking down those device-level settings stops the bleeding today. It prevents the weather app from selling your drive to work tomorrow morning. But we still have to deal with the massive data sets that have already been collected and are currently sitting on broker servers.
Right, the historical data.
That brings us to step 4, taking the fight directly to the data sets feeding government tools. The major targets here are Penlink, Gravy Analytics, OutLogic, which used to be known as Xmode, and MobileWalla.
Yeah, those are the big ones.
You have to go to their respective websites, submit your saved mobile advertising ID, and demand they purge your records. But is the listener just expected to play an endless game of digital whack-a-mole with hundreds of smaller brokers?
No, thankfully. To avoid that exact headache, the guide highlights scalable solutions. Step 5 is the California shortcut. If you live in California, you can use the state's DROP tool, the Delete Request and Opt-out platform.
DROP.
Under the California Delete Act, this single portal lets you broadcast a legally binding deletion mandate to a massive registry of data brokers all at once.
Okay, but what about everyone else?
Well, the DROP tool is incredibly powerful, but its primary limitation is jurisdiction. It only protects California residents, and it doesn't comprehensively cover international brokers operating outside state frameworks.
Makes sense.
For everyone else, or for those wanting a set-it-and-forget-it approach, Step 6 involves utilizing automated subscription services. But you have to choose the right tool based on the specific technological architecture of the data broker you are fighting.
What do you mean by architecture?
There is a massive difference between a public record scraper that builds profiles from property deeds and a private ad tech broker that harvests the silent bid stream data we discussed earlier.
Oh, I see. That's a vital distinction. Let's break down the specific services that actually target those different architectures.
First, we have Incogni. They are heavily automated, utilizing sweeping privacy frameworks like the GDPR and CCPA. They are specifically engineered to target those private, invisible marketing brokers that don't even have public search pages, maintaining aggressive suppression lists so your data isn't simply re-ingested a week later.
Okay, what else?
Then there is Optory, which acts more like a forensic tool. They provide an exposure report showing exactly where your data is living on the open web. Their primary advantage is providing before and after screenshots, giving you visual proof that a broker actually removed your listing.
That visual verification is critical because historically these brokers have just ignored web form deletion requests entirely, knowing the average consumer has no way to audit their back-end databases.
Exactly the problem they solve. Next is Privacy Hawk. They specialize in your corporate footprint. If you grant them access, they scan your email inbox to map out every single retailer, app, and service you've ever created an account with, and automatically dispatch, delete, or do not sell requests to those specific corporate databases.
Oh, that's handy. What about the really stubborn sites?
For footprints that are deeply embedded in tricky sites, Delete Me utilizes human privacy experts rather than just bots to force through stubborn removals via phone calls and complex email chains.
Nice.
Finally, OneRep focuses heavily on the public people search ecosystem sites like Spokeo or White Pages that scrape public records. They offer affordable family plans, making them highly effective for scrubbing your household's basic contact info from Google search results.
To pull this all together, your 30-minute operational plan is clear. First, write down your mobile advertising ID, then permanently delete it from your phone settings to kill the ad tech bid stream. Second, audit your app permissions and terminate any unnecessary always location access. Third, manually submit opt-out requests to the major government-feeding brokers like Penlink and MobileWalla using your saved ID.
Crucial step.
Fourth, consider subscribing to a targeted removal service like Incogni or Optory to automate the long tail of data brokers. And finally, remember to toggle off your Wi-Fi and Bluetooth when you aren't using them to silence those ambient hardware pings.
Yep, that covers it.
We highly encourage you to visit besecurityaware.com to dive into the full guides and access the direct opt-out links. They provide phenomenal, actionable intelligence on keeping yourself and your family digitally secure.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, we have spent this time learning how to hide our current smartphones from the digital dragnet. But the hardware is evolving rapidly.
Oh, yeah, it's not just phones anymore.
As we transition into an era of augmented reality glasses that track our exact eye movements and biometric smart rings that monitor our continuous heart rate and skin temperature, the legal definition of voluntarily disclosed data is going to be tested like never before.
That is a terrifying thought.
If our pocket-sized phones are currently betraying our privacy to the highest bidder in the form of location coordinates, what happens when the government isn't just buying a map of where you've been, but purchases a real-time feed of your actual physiological reactions?
Wow.
How will we opt out of that?